Is Austin, Texas, home to the University of Texas Longhorns.
That's funny, though. Yeah, once your team's not any good for the year, it's like not stressful anymore. They're just bad.
We know they're going to lose. Yeah, right.
So funny. All right. Unfortunately, there's some tough spots in traffic this morning. Allie Rasmus has the details.
Yeah, we know what's stressful, and that's driving during the Bay Area morning commute. And unfortunately, though, but here is a look at the East Contra Costa County commute. We mentioned that earlier crash, a couple of crashes on southbound 680, that one on Monument in the clearing stages. And then south of there, there's a new crash, southbound 680 just north of Stone Ridge, and that's involving a couple of trucks, one of them a debris truck. I don't have any information on the CHP log about this, but this crash icon here at Sunol, southbound, looks like another southbound 80 crash at Sunol, also tying up traffic in this area. I'll keep an eye out for more details on that. And that's in addition to some of the earlier problems on southbound 880 through Union City and Fremont. Kind of too many of them there to mention, but this is a broad view of what's troubling our East Bay commute. Here's a live look at the San Mateo Bridge. It's pretty crowded getting over to the peninsula. And this is the Bay Bridge span, actually. I was going to show the Golden Gate Bridge, but looks like it's a little bit windy out there. Steve Paulson keeping track of our changing weather forecast. Steve?
It is windy, especially for the wind-prone areas out the Delta, 30-plus miles an hour. So no doubt there, Allie, we're getting much cooler today. Santa Rosa, Walnut Creek, San Carlos, and San Jose, 70s and 80s yesterday. Today, down we go. We'll see upper 60s to near 70. I think almost across the board here. Temps will drop a good 10, 15 degrees for some. We're actually running much warmer on the lows because of the cloud cover. There's low clouds and there's mostly cloudy skies up above. It's this right there. Look at that. Now, again, Monterey Peninsula, but inching northward towards Santa Cruz, Hollister, Gilroy, and also, I think, later today. So I'm going to say East Bay, South Bay looks to be in the mix. Concord west of 21, Travis west-southwest gusting to 31. That's extra hold on the hairspray day there, right there. 61 Half Moon Bay, 60 Brentwood. My goodness, I mean, upper 50s, 60s on the temps, a little cooler on the peninsula. 36 Truckee, 41 South Lake Tahoe. This is a warm system, so with that south wind, but look at that moisture streaming northward. So the combination of these three, low clouds, high mid-level clouds, and the thunderstorms associated with that low. Let me come in here a little bit better. There you go. You can see the circulation right there. That's what's moving in. It'll be with us today, and then it'll exit stage right tomorrow. And then it's all about this moisture right there coming across the Pacific, which will be here for the weekend. Can't get around it. I think we start to see some rain Saturday morning, and again, maybe Sunday morning is the way it looks. But most forecast models have trended a little wetter. Farther south, but farther north, no doubt. So when you get that kind of a moisture, and it's so far, this has been favoring rain versus no rain in this early season, so I would lean on rain. Bigger fog bank, onshore breeze or wind, much cooler today. Showers, thunder showers possible south and east later, 60s, 70s. And we'll get a little rebound on some of these temps Thursday, Friday, then I think off and on rain with a lot of cloud cover into the weekend.
See, thank you. Time is 6:52. OpenAI cracking down on deep fakes. The new partnership it's taking up, it's aimed at getting ahead of the concerns surrounding its popular text-to-video app. Right now, let's check in with Gasia Mikaeli and see what's coming up in the 7 o'clock hour of Mornings on 2. Good morning, Gasia.
Good morning, Dave. I get to join you in studio here in just a minute. We'll focus on several local lawmakers that are eyeing longtime House Representative Nancy Pelosi's seat in Congress even before she's announced whether she's running for re-election next year. New at 7, the current political battle that she's waiting out before announcing her plans. Then a San Francisco supervisor introducing a new resolution to provide more resources to one of the city's most troubled neighborhoods. The effort to help youth in the Tenderloin at 7.
Welcome back to Mornings on 2. Our time now, 6:55. OpenAI is really cracking down on deep fakes made using its new text-to-video app. Now, last week, the company started blocking users from being able to create AI-generated videos of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. using Sora 2 after his family called out what they say are disrespectful depictions. The company is now working with SAG-AFTRA to strengthen protections around deceased historical figures and actors. Sora 2 has taken the internet by storm, and the new AI videos have some parents very concerned.
Children, their prefrontal cortex, the brain that's responsible for critical thinking and evaluating evidence, does not fully mature until they're about 25. So unleashing these new deep fakes and the ability to create them is asking children to have a skill that they don't have, the ability to, differentiate what is real and what is not.
And Dr. Martin Luther King's daughter, Bernice King, led the push to remove those videos. And the daughter of the late comedian Robin Williams is calling for a similar ban on videos about her father. A house in San Francisco's Noe Valley neighborhood recently sold for $900,000 over the asking price, and the bid surprised even the seller. Now, the home is a 98-year-old two-bedroom, one-bath house with about 1,200 square feet. It ended up selling for a little more than $2 million. That's 70% over the asking price. Real estate agents say it's an unusual sale because not too long ago, interest rates were high enough that sellers had to give up a lot to find a buyer.
Think it was going to go this far, but we generally try to go 10 to 20% below what we expect it to go for. But there's a huge garage with tons of room to grow. It's also just on one of the best locations in Noe Valley.
Now, interest rates have dropped by as much as a percent or more compared to last month. Experts also say the market in San Francisco is starting to speed up, with homes spending less time on the market as interest rates go down. Well, the California Chamber of Commerce wants to put a proposal on the ballot to change the requirements to build housing in California. The core of the proposal is a major overhaul of the state's Environmental Quality Act. The chamber argues the law is being abused to delay new housing and critical infrastructure. It says the changes would help tackle California's high cost of living. The initiative would also introduce mandatory deadlines for state and local agencies to complete environmental reviews for essential projects like housing, water, and energy.
Starting the season with a win, the Golden State Warriors fueling the team's victory against the Los Angeles Lakers. Governor Newsom unveiling new plans to help ensure Californians have enough food on the table. New this morning how he's using the National Guard to help families at risk of losing access to federal food assistance programs. Then a restaurant owner stabbed multiple times in his own business in San Francisco. What he says about the attack, that he's now back on the job.
From KTVU Fox 2 News, this is Mornings on 2.
Good morning and welcome back. I'm Garcia Micaelia.
And good morning, I'm Dave Clark. It's Wednesday, right in the middle of the week. It's October 22nd. Welcome back to you.
It is definitely cooler outside.
Notice that, too. And some more changes are coming, too. Here's Steve Paulson.
They have arrived for some.
Yeah.
It will be much cooler today, no doubt 10, 12 degrees. But boy, it's the thunderstorm line that has stretched from Monterey to King City all the way down to Paso Robles and even San Luis Obispo. A lot of that moisture is lifting north. Again, I'll mention east and south. I don't think north it'll be a factor, but the onshore wind and the increased low clouds is leading to a significant cool down today. And then I'll turn our attention late Friday into the weekend on that moisture streaming across the Pacific for what looks like off and on rain into the weekend here. Bigger fog bank onshore, breeze mostly cloudy. Much cooler today. Showers, thunderstorms, 60s, 70s on those temps. That's it. Big drop. All right, Allie, Sears, 7 o'clock, a bridge, a freeway. Where are we going?
Everywhere. So South Bay is where we're going to focus this time around because, as I said, 7 o'clock is when the South Bay commute picks up, and this is definitely the case this morning. According to the CHP's notes, northbound 101 at Brokaw Road, all lanes are blocked because of a couple of a multi-vehicle crash that happened in that direction. So vehicles are being moved to the center, but it is blocking things. The response is blocking things. There's a report of maybe one of the vehicles, the engine smoking. So keep an eye out for that. And here's a live look at 280 in San Jose. You can see some of the backup because of the South Bay commute heating up. Northbound direction is getting a bit sluggish. Bay Bridge Toll Plaza, things clearing up just slightly, ever so slightly. There was an earlier crash, I shouldn't say stalled vehicle, but a fender bender that happened on the bridge, and it's taken a while to get all that cleared up. 7:01. Let's go back to the desk.
All right, Allie, thank you. Well, new this morning, Governor Gavin Newsom now rolling out a plan to keep millions of Californians from going hungry. It includes deploying National Guard members across the state to support food banks while the federal government shutdown continues. KTVU's Tori Gaines is in San Jose right now with more on this new announcement. Good morning, Tori.
Good morning, Mr. Clark. Now, this is a large undertaking from Governor Gavin Newsom, who is referring to it as a humanitarian mission. This all comes as we're going into the 4th week of that government shutdown, and local leaders say they are most worried about those families who need SNAP benefits in order to put food on the table each month.
We have many federal workers or contractors who are suddenly facing not having a paycheck. We have many families suddenly having to worry about whether or not they'll have SNAP benefits next month. And that means parents sitting down at the kitchen table having to make tough choices about how they're going to pay their bills and still be able to afford food.
Governor Newsom is fast-tracking $80 million of state funds ahead of the shutdown delays, and the California National Guard will be deployed across the state. Now, the governor's office made clear those Guard members will not be acting as law enforcement. Instead, they will support efforts at local food banks. His office saying, I'm expediting state funds for food banks and directing the California National Guard and California volunteers to help distribute this food to families. As we approach the Thanksgiving holiday, California is working to ensure CalFresh recipients don't go hungry while food prices are spiking under President Trump. Now, CalFresh, the SNAP program in California, is 100% federally funded. And if those November 1st payments are missed, more than 5 million Californians will be impacted, as well as 42 million people nationwide. Now, food banks like Second Harvest right here behind me are asking for community members to donate or volunteer at local food banks to help get their fellow neighbors through this pinch during this tough time. We're live this morning in San Jose. Tori Gaines, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Thank you, Tori. New this morning, San Francisco State Senator Scott Wiener has announced he's running for Congress. Senator Wiener released a campaign video and website this morning for the seat representing San Francisco. The Democrat had previously said he wouldn't run until Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi retired. In his campaign announcement, Wiener focused on standing up to the Trump administration and touted his work at the state capitol.
Our time is now 7:04. Well, San Francisco Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi says she will not announce her plans for re-election for a few more weeks. The former Speaker of the House told the San Francisco Examiner she's waiting until after the special election for a Prop 50 to reveal her plans for 2026. She said the redistricting plan is more important to her right now since that will help Democrats with their efforts to retake control of the House. Nancy Pelosi has represented San Francisco in Congress since 1987. Now, she is facing two challengers, along with State Senator Scott Wiener, who made his run official this morning. Shaikat Chakrabarti, a former chief of staff for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, also recently launched his campaign. Meantime, Politico is reporting if Nancy Pelosi decides not to run again, she may support San Francisco Supervisor Connie Chan. Time is 7:05 with just under 2 weeks until Election Day. About 13% of the ballots sent to California voters for the Prop 50 special election have already been returned. That's according to the firm Political Data, Inc., which says California has received more than 3 million ballots so far. There's 20 million that have not been returned yet. Of those ballots, about 51% are from registered Democrats, with the rest split between Republicans and independents. The firm also says more than half of those ballots have come from people age 65 or older. Now, voters have 2 weeks to decide if California should temporarily throw out its current congressional district map drawn by the state's independent commission and replace it with a new one that was drawn by Democrats. It's part of a bigger national fight where Republicans and Democrats are trying to gerrymander their congressional districts to determine which political party controls the U.S. House of Representatives.
A restaurant owner in San Francisco is back on the job after he was attacked inside his business. The confrontation was recorded by security cameras inside the Middle Eastern restaurant Shawarma Azmi. The owner, Azmi Marate, says he asked a woman and her friends to leave after seeing them use drugs inside his restaurant. Things escalated and they moved into the kitchen, where Marate says the woman grabbed a knife and stabbed him repeatedly. He grabbed what he could, including a colander, to fight back.
What were you feeling and thinking in that moment?
I only think about my family.
San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie visited the restaurant owner after seeing the security video and pledged the city's support. The suspected attacker was arrested by police, is now facing criminal charges.
Our time now 7:07. A dramatic reduction in violence in 2 San Francisco neighborhoods. It's driving a push for new youth safety funding in the Tenderloin. New data from Bayview Hunters Point shows that targeted youth violence prevention programs have been successful, reducing violent crime arrests by up to 50%. According to a report in Mission Local, this success has led to an urgent call to implement a similar model in the Tenderloin. Supervisor Bilal Mahmoud says the program has proven to be a success and could help in the Tenderloin, which has San Francisco's highest concentration of children. Your time now 7:07. The Golden State Warriors started off a brand new season strong with a big win over the LA Lakers.
The final score here, 119 to 109.
Curry, the look away and big shot.
Stephen Curry scored 23 points, including a big three-pointer near the end of the game to seal the victory. Jimmy Butler led the way with 31 points. Draymond Green filled the stat sheet with 8 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists.
It's good to get off to a good start. We kind of was fighting upstream most of last year. You don't want to do that this year, so it's important to get off to a good start.
The Lakers did not have LeBron James, who was out with sciatica. The Warriors take on the Denver Nuggets 7 o'clock tomorrow night in the home opener there at Chase Center. The Warriors hosted a watch party at Thrive City to tip off the season last night, streaming the game live on the big screen outside Chase. Guests enjoyed live music, outdoor games, giveaways, and plenty of food and drinks.
7:08 is the time, and it's been a busy Wednesday morning commute. Let's go to the maps and cover our East Contra Costa County commute. You can see slow traffic on westbound Highway 4, the usual spot, and the earlier crashes southbound 680 at Monument still in the clearing stages. There's also some crashes to tell you about at southbound 680 at Stone Ridge, and then we did get some more information on this crash here at the Sonoma Grade, southbound 680 where it connects to westbound 84. That is in the clearing stages, but there's a lot of slow traffic going all the way down from Hayward, San Leandro to the Fremont area. This whole stretch has been plagued by some crashes and lane blocks for much of the morning. Taking a look at the live picture of the San Mateo Bridge, you can see traffic moving along, not at a good clip, but no major issues once you get over to the peninsula. 7:09, let's go back to the desk.
All right, thank you, Ali. Well, San Francisco preparing itself for the possible deployment of National Guard troops in the city. We have the latest on the threats made by the White House and how state and local leaders are responding.
Jacoby and Myers has been a proud part of the California community since 1972. We've stood by our neighbors, helping hundreds of thousands of families get the justice they deserve. Whether it's fighting insurance companies or fighting for you in court, we'll stand up for you. At Jacoby and Myers, we know the stakes: your family, your health, your future. For over 50 years, we've been California's trusted name in legal care. If you've been injured, call us today at 1-800-5-MILLION, because you deserve justice.
Some of the stories we're following here at 7:13. A man pardoned for his role in the January 6th attack at the Capitol is back in jail now, accused of threatening House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. New York State police arrested Christopher Moynihan over the weekend. Documents show he sent a text message saying he couldn't allow Jeffries to live and would kill him. Moynihan was one of the nearly 1,600 people President Trump pardoned for their actions on January 6th in their effort to overturn his 2020 election loss. Moynihan due in court tomorrow. San Francisco police are investigating a shooting in the Tenderloin on Willow and Larkin around 10:20 last night. Video here from Citizen app shows the scene. Police say the attackers took off. At least one person was taken to a hospital. No word yet on their injuries. San Francisco Superior Court clerks say a strike is imminent as contract negotiations continue. They rallied outside the Hall of Justice yesterday. They say they're understaffed, which is causing unnecessary delays and potential administrative errors. If talks continue to stall, the strike could happen, they say, later this month.
Our time now 7:14. Governor Newsom and Attorney General Rob Bonta say they will sue if National Guard troops are sent into San Francisco. Now, President Trump has threatened several times in recent weeks to send troops into San Francisco, and he pointed to anonymous government officials who he claims want federal troops in San Francisco. Governor Newsom and the Attorney General say if that happens, they're ready to file a lawsuit. Now, Attorney General Bonta said in part, San Francisco may be the president's latest target, but California is no stranger to the president's political games and unconstitutional tactics. We're ready to go to court immediately if the president follows through on this latest illegal plan. And Governor Newsom also released a statement. It said in part, we're standing up to this wannabe tyrant. The notion that the federal government can deploy troops into our cities with no justification, grounded in reality, no oversight, no accountability, no respect for state sovereignty. It's a direct assault on the rule of law. And San Francisco City Attorney David Chu also said he plans to sue if President Trump deploys the National Guard in the city.
San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie says city leaders are preparing for the possible deployment of National Guard troops.
We've been convening a cross-departmental policy group of public safety leaders, representatives from the city attorney's office, and other affected department heads to continue coordinating our local response to potential federal actions. This policy group is meeting regularly to ensure our operational strategic plans remain current and effective, and we just ended one about an hour ago.
The mayor says the San Francisco Police Department has policies in place that prohibit officers from working with federal authorities to carry out immigration enforcement. He also says his office is in regular communication with community and immigrants' rights groups to make sure they have appropriate resources.
Our time now 7:16. Hundreds of people gathered in Fremont marking Diwali, the most important festival in the Indian culture.
It brings together everybody, happiness. It reminds us that, okay, it's worth living when you are serving others.
Now, the Festival of Lights lasts 5 days. It's tied to the lunar calendar, and it's observed by more than 1 billion people worldwide, including Hindus, Sikhs, and Buddhists. The celebrations at Fremont began about 3 yesterday afternoon and lasted well into the night. Hundreds of people gathered to pray, to socialize, exchange gifts, and share a meal together.
Everybody sits on the ground, basically meaning that we're all the same. No one's better than nobody else. No one's lower than anybody else. We all sit on the same floor, sit together, and we have a good meal.
Now, earlier this month, Governor Newsom signed a bill. It added Diwali to California's official state holiday list beginning next year, making California the 3rd state in the U.S. to do that.
Get out the door, 7:17. Ali Rasmus handling things in the traffic center. Where do we start, Ali?
We're going to start in the South Bay this time around. I'm trying to handle things, but there are a lot of crashes out there. None of them really major, none of them blocking multiple lanes, but it is tying up traffic pretty much in all of the commute hotspots. So South Bay, we want to go back to that crash on northbound 101 at Brokaw. This is a crash that's still in the clearing stages, still at least one lane blocked there Also, northbound 101 just south of Tully, a crash as well. And so you can see in this live picture from 280 in San Jose that all of those crashes we just showed you on the map are backing up traffic in this stretch of northbound 280 past downtown San Jose. 880 in Oakland past the Coliseum in both directions is in pretty good shape, but be aware once you get to the Bay Bridge Toll Plaza, it has been slow all morning long because of a couple of minor crashes that have happened on the span. 7:18. It's not 8 o'clock yet.
Oh boy, this day's flying by, Allie.
Steve Paulson, how's the weather today?
It's much cooler, Allie. No doubt about it. Bigger fog bank, also a lot of high mid-level clouds. And you don't have to go far to find this. I've heard reports of people from Morgan Hill, from the Santa Cruz area, hearing thunder or seeing lightning. So it's oh so close, but that's a heck of a line. We'll see if it continues to move from east to west or starts to lift a little north. It's all associated with a low moving into central California. Westerly breeze for many here, west-southwest, up to 31 miles per hour at Travis. That'll do it. That'll bring in much cooler temps today. 50s to near 60. I mean, about as isothermal as you can get, although a little cooler on the peninsula. San Carlos, Menlo Park, Sunnyvale, mid-50s. Most everyone else is upper 50s to near 60. 30s and 40s up in the mountains. This would be a system for thunderstorms up there if it makes it. That moisture coming around that low. The low looks like it's going to start moving east, not lift north. There it is right there. So if it lifts a little north, East Bay, South Bay could be a little bit more in line for some activity. Right now, I'm keeping it around Santa Cruz, Santa Clara Valley. One low moves in, and then look at that moisture streaming across the Pacific. That will set up and eventually get here late Friday, Saturday for what looks to be a cloudy, cooler with off and on rain for the weekend. Just can't get around it. It's just, I'm broad brushing it now. I'm kind of throwing in the towel, even though we still have 3 days to go. Cool it now, no doubt. Bigger fog bank, onshore breeze or wind, cloudy to mostly cloudy, much cooler today. Showers, thunderstorms south, maybe east later today. 60s to 70s on the temps. We'll get a little rebound, not too much, but a little bit nice Thursday. Clouds rolling Friday, and then there's your weekend. A lot of cloud cover with some rain.
All right, Steve, time now 7:20. NASA says SpaceX is falling behind in the space race. The threat to pull the company from a key mission. We'll tell you how CEO Elon Musk is responding to that.
Today, a Senate committee is taking up an important vote, putting pressure on Russia. A breakdown of the proposals aimed at stopping the war in Ukraine.
Welcome back to Mornings on 2. Our time now 7:23. Garcia, I had to use Steve Paulson's paintbrush this morning.
Oh, I love it.
To paint this picture, live pictures from our Highway 4 camera. We're looking towards the Pittsburgh, Antioch area. But this, you just need to stop and take a second and look at that beautiful picture in the sky here in the Bay Area. Well, NASA may be giving up on its partnership with SpaceX and pick a new company to land astronauts on the moon. Sean Dunphy, the current acting administrator of NASA, says SpaceX and its Artemis missions are behind schedule. Dunphy says he wants to reopen the moon landing contract to other companies, including Jeff Bezos and his Blue Origin company. He says an American space race can help the United States beat China in exploring the moon.
I think we'll see companies like Blue get involved and maybe others. We're going to have a space race in regard to American companies competing to see who can actually get us back to the moon first.
Now, some space experts say a new contract will not help the U.S. win the space race. They're concerned about the cost of these missions, especially if a new company has to start from scratch.
We're going to just go try another way, which may cost tens of billions of dollars on top of what's already been spent. So I think, quite frankly, a bit of this is theater.
Now, Elon Musk, the CEO of SpaceX, responded on social media saying his company is moving like lightning compared to others in the space industry.
Today, the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations is set to vote on 3 proposals meant to pressure Russia to stop the war in Ukraine. All 3 bills have bipartisan support. One would label Russia as a state sponsor of terrorism over the kidnapping of Ukrainian children. Another would put economic penalties on China for supporting Russia in the war. The third would send frozen Russian assets held in the U.S. to Ukraine every 90 days.
Well, the White House says the plans have now been canceled for President Trump and Russian President Putin to meet about possibly ending the war in Ukraine. Now, last week, President Trump said he and Putin would meet in Budapest. But now the White House says no progress was made in talks between Secretary of State Marco Rubio and the Russian foreign minister. Russia continues to demand that Ukraine must first surrender more territory before there could be a ceasefire.
What's seen as a sign of growing voter frustration revealed in a new poll, why some Americans appear to be losing faith in both major parties. Plus,
trying to escape the whole time he was screaming, help, 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 they're going to kill me.
A U.S. Marshal and a man once honored as a community pillar wounded after an ICE agent opened fire. I'll tell you why federal agents are defending their actions. Good morning. No crisis, no troops. City and state leaders are pushing back hard against President Trump and his plan to deploy the National Guard to San Francisco. The latest on the legal battle that's brewing to stop the troops from patrolling the streets. Dan.
It's federal money, and the state does not have the capacity to fill that.
California's lifeline for families who depend on food assistance is at risk as the government shutdown drags on. We'll tell you how food banks are bracing for a surge in need.
From KTVU Fox 2 News, this is Mornings on 2.
Well, good morning, and thank you for joining us. Welcome back to Mornings on 2. I'm Dave Clark.
I'm Gassia Mikhaelian. It's Wednesday, October 22nd, and the weather has changed exactly as meteorologist Paulson said it would.
You know, it started a teeny bit yesterday, coast and bay, but inland, a lot of 80s. Not now. Now we've seen a huge change here today. Good morning, Pittsburgh, Antioch, Brentwood, and Oakley. Heck of a sunrise out there. Mother Nature painting a pretty picture, and a little breeze bouncing that camera along, I should add, as well. No doubt temperatures are in the 50s here, 58, 59, 60. I mean, everyone's cloudy to mostly cloudy, and just south of us. Had some report. There it is. Hold on. Hollister, thunderstorm popped up right there. So Gilroy, Hollister, this is lifting north, had reports of thunder around Santa Cruz. So we mentioned this yesterday, and it is verifying this morning. So Santa Cruz Mountains, San Jose South, maybe east later, but look at that. So right there, it made it. That's the low moving into central California, the moisture rotating counterclockwise around it. I mean, look at that line. I mean, that is just training all the way back into the southern end of the valley and lifting north. So any travel plans down 5 or 101, watch out, baby. And look at the onshore wind there to Travis, 31 miles per hour. I know Cordelia's had west-southwest to 33. What's next? That moisture streaming across the Pacific. Won't be here Thursday, might be here Friday night, but it'll for sure be here on the weekend for clouds and rain. Bigger fog bank, onshore breeze or wind, mostly cloudy, showers, possible thunder showers. Main focus is south, but much cooler across the board here, 60s to near 70. All right, Allie's been a little busy there with 880. We going back there or somewhere else?
We are going north of 880 because even though 880 has some very slow traffic still because of a number of crashes, there's other stuff to talk about pretty much Bay Area wide. So taking a look here at the map, we didn't mention last time around there's a crash even in the North Bay. This is northbound 101 at Mill Valley off-ramp, and it's blocking 2 of the lanes there in that direction. We also have a crash right before the Richmond-San Rafael Bridge toll plaza, and we'll show you that picture right now, and you can see very slow traffic getting over into San Rafael and Marin County. Taking a look at the East Shore Freeway from the Carquinez Bridge to MacArthur Maze, it'll take you about just under 40 minutes. It's pretty slow going as you approach the Bay Bridge toll plaza. Toll plaza still backed up, but at least things are somewhat moving. We've seen it worse, let's put it that way. 7:31, let's go back to the desk.
Allie, thank you. New this morning, San Francisco State Senator Scott Wiener is making it official. He's running for Congress.
San Francisco has always been on the right side of history, standing up for democracy and civil rights, even when it's hard. I'm Scott Wiener. I'm running for Congress to defend San Francisco, our values.
Wiener released this campaign video and website this morning to announce his campaign for the seat representing San Francisco. The Democrat had previously said he wouldn't run until Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi retired. In his campaign announcement, Wiener focused on standing up to the Trump administration, as well as touted his experience at the state capitol. He's 55 years old, has been San Francisco's state senator since 2016. Before that, was a member of the Board of Supervisors. We'll note that Pelosi has not yet said whether she's running again next year.
Our time now, 7:32, as President Trump continues to threaten to send the National Guard into San Francisco. State and city leaders are pushing back.
KTVU's Amanda Quintana live in San Francisco to bring us up to date on this. Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning. Well, city leaders have condemned the idea to bring the National Guard here to San Francisco. Governor Gavin Newsom has also said if the National Guard is sent here, he will immediately sue the Trump administration. Now, in a press release yesterday, Newsom said Trump is, quote, misleading the public with his false narrative that America and especially California is some lawless wasteland. But California is proving him wrong in the courts and on the facts. San Francisco City Attorney David Chu already said he is prepared to take President Trump to court if the National Guard is sent here. On Monday, Chu joined a coalition of leaders in other other cities and counties, calling on the Supreme Court to block the Trump administration from using the military for domestic law enforcement. Local leaders argue there's no basis to send in troops to San Francisco. There's no emergency or unrest, and crime is down. Mayor Daniel Lurie appeared before the San Francisco Board of Supervisors last night, saying city leaders have been meeting to prepare for the National Guard.
The city attorney yesterday filed a brief in the U.S. Supreme Court, their fourth brief on this issue, making it clear that local law enforcement is best positioned to keep our communities safe and that they are doing it well.
Mayor Lurie says his top priority is keeping the city and its residents safe. SFPD has a long-standing policy prohibiting officers from working with federal authorities to carry out immigration enforcement. Lurie also says his office is in regular communication with community and immigrant rights groups to make sure that they have appropriate resources. Yesterday, the Secretary of Homeland Security spoke of the plans to come to San Francisco.
We continue to have targeted operations in many cities, but also very focused on those where challenges are still remaining, such as Portland, Chicago. We're in Memphis as well. We're going into San Francisco at the direction of the president as well. We're going to continue to make sure we're focused not just in those cities that we hear about on the news, but also cities like Sarasota, that we make sure that law enforcement officers in every single community get the chance to continue to get these criminals off of their streets.
Since the deployment of the National Guard in L.A. in June, the Trump administration has also sent hundreds of guardsmen to Washington, D.C., Portland, and Chicago. In Oregon, both the city of Portland and the state also sued the Trump administration. A lower court blocked the deployment of the National Guard. They said that there was not a legitimate basis to send them, but then the next day, Trump ended up sending the National Guard to Portland. Now, on Monday, an appeals court ended up siding with the president in that case. So just to look at what's going on in Oregon as well. Live in San Francisco, Amanda Quintana, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Thank you, Amanda. Starting next month, 5.5 million Californians could lose their food assistance payments. The state social services department is telling counties that funding could stop in November. The warning is raising concerns among both recipients and food banks, which are now bracing for a surge.
Really nice, fresh produce. Oh, look at these strawberries. And it's a hard time.
We're going to see it in all populations, from college students to the working poor, to seniors, to the homeless, to the variety of people we help is all walks of life.
Some counties and food banks are already planning extra food distributions in the coming weeks to handle growing demand.
Our time is now 7:36. A new Gallup poll shows growing voter frustration with the political status quo. And the poll says both the Republican and Democratic parties have historically low favorability ratings. The Gallup poll shows Americans are almost split on which party would do a better job of keeping the country prosperous, and voters are more skeptical than ever about both sides. The Republicans' historical advantage on national security, that is down a lot, while Democrats are seen as ineffective and unorganized.
Santa Clara County supervisors are moving forward with a plan to declare all county buildings and property off limits for immigration enforcement. The unanimous vote paves the way for a formal no ICE ordinance. Immigrants make up more than 40% of Santa Clara County's population. Supervisors say they're modeling their efforts after what's happening in Chicago. San Jose is expected to begin the same process today.
Do not wait until federal agents show up in our neighborhoods to finally decide that we should have protected our community spaces.
County and city leaders say if the ordinance passes, ICE could still enforce federal law without regard to local regulations. They are hoping, though, to set the stage for future legal challenges.
Our time is now 7:38. Very tense moments in Los Angeles. An immigration operation turned into a standoff. And officials say a U.S. Marshal and an undocumented man were shot. Now, ICE officials say ICE agents and the U.S. Marshal Service cornered the car of 44-year-old Ricardo Parias. They say he's an undocumented immigrant who previously escaped from custody and was trying to escape again. ICE says an agent opened fire when pariahs tried to ram their vehicles. Pariahs and a U.S. Marshal were both hit by bullets. Eyewitnesses who asked to not be shown on camera told us what they saw.
Trying to escape the whole time he was screaming, help, help, help. They're going to kill me. They're going to kill me.
Now, both men were taken to the hospital to be treated for non-life-threatening injuries, but others who know pariahs better, as Richard L.A. on TikTok with 132,000 followers, say ICE was trying to silence pariahs. Protesters gathered outside of the hospital.
Allegations are frivolous. They hold no weight to them. There's no truth to that. I chase news, and never in a million years did I think I'd be streaming news of my friend being shot by ICE agents.
Now, the office of Los Angeles City Councilman Curran Price Jr. previously honored Richard L.A. for his work in the community. The councilman says he's deeply saddened by what happened and calling the TikToker a pillar of the community and a fearless South L.A. journalist. Homeland Security says the shooting is, quote, consequences of conduct and rhetoric by sanctuary politicians and activists who urge people to resist arrest.
A busy Wednesday morning for your commute. Let's take a look at the traffic map and give you a broad view of some of the problems we've been dealing with throughout the morning. Some of these crash icons have now disappeared as some of the earlier problems get cleared away. So let's start with live pictures here. Highway 4 Bay Point, you can see a little less dense traffic making its way towards Concord. 880 in Oakland, traffic moving smoothly here, although you'll notice at the top of your screen it starts to get backed up as you get closer to the MacArthur Maze. San Mateo Bridge traffic moving along okay, and here is a live look at the Golden Gate Bridge. There's actually more cars heading into the city than we would expect, but you can also see from that flag on the right hand of your screen, it is breezy out there as the weather is changing. Steve Paulson here to tell us all about it. Steve?
Yes, not only cooler, also breezy to windy, but thunderstorms south here, right over Hollister, Gilroy, and I know there's been people have heard thunder around Santa Cruz heading back to, in between Santa Cruz and Monterey. And look at that, boom, boom, boom right there. So Hollister to Gilroy, 101. Some of this could easily lift northward. It's on the edge. We're on the edge of it. But the main message for across the board here for most is cooler. From 70s and 80s yesterday to upper 60s and low 70s today. West southwest to 31 in Travis. That is a rock and roll wind gust there. And that'll spell cooler for all. 50s on the temps to almost 58, 59, 60. Everyone's really close to the cloud cover. Combination low and high and mid-level. 30s up in the mountains are 40s. You can see cloud cover moving up there, and it looks like some activity about ready to pop. More general rain or maybe thunderstorms later, but starting to get some activity up there. Those look like general showers, whereas thunderstorms, look at that line that stretches from Monterey all the way to Bakersfield, California. And that's a heck of a line. There's the low punches in right there at Central California coast, Santa Barbara. San Luis Obispo, Paso Robles looks like it's moving in there. Some of that moisture could easily lift, though, again, for possibility east and south today of some showers, thunder showers. But that's the moisture streaming across that's going to play into, it stretches all the way back to, look at that, all the way back to Japan. That's the deep moisture. Got to give Climate Prediction Center credit. They latched onto that about a week ago. That's rare for them in October, but they saw it. And now we all see it, and that means we're going to get a lot of cloud cover starting probably late Friday, Saturday into the weekend. And most of the forecast models have trended wetter for rain as well. That'll be Saturday, though. Cool it now. Big fog bank, onshore breeze or wind, cloudy, mostly cloudy, much cooler today. Showers, thunderstorms, mainly south, a fewer possible east. 60s, 70s. Slight rebound Thursday, Friday, then. Here we go for a cloudy, mostly cloudy weekend with off and on rain.
Thank you, Steve. 7:42, as we've been reporting this morning, San Francisco State Senator Scott Wiener has officially announced he's running for Congress. Now, San Francisco Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi is facing two challengers, State Senator Wiener and Shaikat Chakrabarti, a former chief of staff for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
So we want to hear from you about this. This morning, we're asking you this. Who would you vote for to represent San Francisco in Congress? And here are your options: Nancy Pelosi, Scott Wiener, Shaikat Chakrabarti. So I want you to weigh in. So go to ktvu.com/vote. And as we go to break, take a look at your screen. You can scan the QR code in the top right-hand corner. It'll take you to our poll. Welcome back to Mornings on 2. It's now 7:46. Here's some of the stories we're following for you this morning. Governor Gavin Newsom says he'll speed up $80 million in funding for food assistance programs. The governor will also bring in the California National Guard to support distribution at food banks. He says he's trying to supplement the loss of federal food stamp programs. The Agriculture Department says it will not fund SNAP food assistance programs beginning in November because of the continuing government shutdown.
The state of Arizona is suing House Speaker Mike Johnson over his refusal to seat a newly elected member of Congress. Adelita Grijalva won a special election late last month. Johnson says he won't swear her in until the government shutdown ends and the House returns to regular session. Arizona's Attorney General says that is unconstitutional and that a duly elected member cannot be denied office just because Congress isn't meeting. One man was arrested after driving his car into a security barricade outside the White House late last night. The Secret Service says agents took the man into custody immediately after the crash. The agency says it searched the car and didn't find any weapons or bombs inside. Police have not revealed the person's identity or why he drove into the barricade.
Our time is 7:47. Family and friends trying to find support for twin 8-year-old daughters whose mother and grandmother were killed in a double homicide in Walnut Creek. The police in Walnut Creek say 43-year-old Howard Wang slashed the throats of his wife, Lin Lin Guo, and mother-in-law, Beimin Chang. The former couple's twin 8-year-old girls are now in foster care. It's not clear who will take care of them in a long-term form. A friend says the victim confided and heard that she was not happy with her husband not long before she was killed.
Why you harm someone so kind, so nice, so innocent, and maliciously? It's unimaginable. Her marriage was painful, and she's miserable, and she wanted to leave.
And the records show last year Wang filed for divorce only to drop the case in August of 2024. Authorities say that same month he threatened his wife. He's now in jail. He's charged with 2 counts of murder. The friend has set up a GoFundMe campaign to help pay for funeral expenses and legal costs for the custody of the twin girls.
7:49, Uber is offering drivers an incentive to go green.
And a California company is suddenly the talk of Wall Street again. Pam Cook back in the studio now with everything in dollars and cents.
Really interesting story to try to figure out exactly what's going on here. But Los Angeles-based Beyond Meat has struggled. The plant-based meat alternative was criticized for being high in fat, made with a few different oils. However, the company changed the formula to include more vegetables and less fat, boasting just 2 grams of fat from heart-healthy avocado oil. And as that opening bell rang this morning, shares in Beyond Meat jumped 90%. It has been up all week this week so far. Still less than $7 a share, though, and it has been in danger of being delisted from the NASDAQ this morning. Analysts say this does not necessarily mean a successful turnaround for Beyond Meat. It could just be the latest meme stock where social media helps falsely inflate the company's value. So we will certainly keep an eye on Beyond Meat to see what happens from here. Taking a live look at the markets, they're all down across the board. The Dow Jones off about 1/3%, the S&P 500 down about the same, the NASDAQ slipping 0.75%. Netflix down pretty big today. Earnings miss, not necessarily because it's not popular, but it's blaming some dealings with Brazilian tax authorities for some of that loss. Tesla has issued a recall. It's recalling nearly 13,000 of its new Model 3 and Ys in the U.S. due to a battery pack component defect. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, the issue in certain 2025 Model 3s and 2026 Model Ys could cause a sudden loss of drive power, which could increase the risk of a crash. Unlike most Tesla recalls, this cannot be fixed by a simple software update. Impacted drivers will have to go to a Tesla service center for a free replacement part. Uber's offering incentives for its drivers to go green. The San Francisco-based rideshare company will offer $4,000 grants to drivers who switch from gas-powered cars to electric vehicles. It's only available to drivers in high-demand markets such as California, New York, Colorado, and Massachusetts. But it's also rebranding its Uber Green category of rides to Uber Electric. There are more than 200,000 EVs in Uber's network worldwide. And a new robo-taxi is picking up passengers in San Francisco. Zoox has been in test phase since November. You might have seen those little cars driving around. The company is owned by Amazon. It tells the San Francisco Standard it's now beginning to pick up some passengers in a limited area of the city. The box-shaped cars are rolling through the South of Market neighborhood and Mission, but right now they're only open to friends and relatives of Zoox employees. But next ride could be there. I'm Pam Cook. That's Look at Your Dollars and Cents.
Time now is 7:51, and keeping an eye on our traffic troubles. Some of the earlier problems have now been cleared, but there's still lingering backups. As Sal likes to say, the damage has been done in some spots, as you can see from this sea of red roads here in the South Bay, even though some of those earlier crashes have been cleared. A very long and tough commute on that East Shore Freeway. The Carquinez Bridge to MacArthur Maze will take you almost an hour. It's not because of any specific crashes that have happened here, but just a lot of folks trying to get to the Bay Bridge Toll Plaza. And speaking of which, things have improved, I guess, slightly. If you're in those carpool lanes, you're having no problem getting onto the span, but everyone else is waiting about 15 to 20 minutes. 7:52, here's Steve Paulson with a look at the weather. Definitely cooler today.
Pam and Gossi are chatting.
Sorry.
All right, Allie, I'll take it from here. Thank you. They're actually talking baseball, so that's all right. We do have a really good line here from I'll say Santa Cruz, Hollister, Gilroy South. That looks to be the line here all the way back down. It looks like it's passed through San Luis Obispo, Paso Robles, all the way back down to the southern end of the valley, down to Bakersfield. But pretty good little lightning right towards Hollister, Gilroy, heading back over to Watts right there. Boom, boom, boom. So ahead, look at that. That's some moderate heavy rain, Highway 1. Maybe Santa Cruz to Monterey if that is in your morning drive. The wind of change has really picked up here. West-southwest gusting over 30 at Cordelia and also Travis. That's a sure sign even everyone well east will cool down today. 50s, 60s on the temps here. 30s, 40s up in the mountains with this moisture coming in from the south. Temperatures are much warmer, but I think they'll get some rain, maybe some thunderstorms up there as that low starts to move inland. You can see already starting to juice up there, if you will. For us, you can look at all the lightning strikes. Now, again, it's mainly east and south for the opportunity today. Santa Cruz Mountain, San Jose, Santa Clara Valley looks like the best bet. You can see the circulation around that low beginning to make its move. It'll accelerate pretty fast. And then here comes the moisture for the weekend. You can see it stretches from the Gulf of Alaska, across the Pacific, all the way past Japan. Look at that. I mean, my goodness, that's deep moisture. And a lot of that is on its way to the Pacific Northwest and Northern California and us for the weekend. And I never trust it in this kind of moisture. When it's a rain year and so far early in the season, almost every system has made it. When it's a dry year, we know and I know they don't usually make it. This one will make it. Most of the forecasts have trended a little wetter, and I'm not surprised, especially North Bay, Sacramento Valley, and Mother Lode. But even locally, amounts have gone up here on most. Cool it now, though. No doubt here, combination of low clouds, onshore wind, cloudy, mostly cloudy. Possible showers, thunder showers to the east and south, mainly south. 60s, 70s on the temps. We'll get a little break Thursday, Friday, and a lot of cloud cover with off and on rain into the weekend.
All right, Steve, thank you. Time 7:54. California homeowners are about to get hit with part of the bill for the billion-dollar wildfire losses in Los Angeles County. Up next at 8, why consumer advocates call it an illegal bailout. And the city of Oakland in party mode, celebrating the birthday of one of the co-founders of the Black Panther Party. We'll tell you how you can join today's special ceremony honoring the life and legacy of Bobby Seale. Welcome back to Mornings on 2. It's now 7:58 in France. The Louvre has reopened 3 days after thieves broke in and stole the crown jewels of France. Hundreds of people gathered this morning to visit the museum. Prosecutors say at least 100 investigators are involved in finding the suspects who stole almost $102 million worth of jewelry on Sunday. The French culture minister says the security system at the museum was working properly during that theft. Well, women's professional baseball is coming here to the Bay Area. The Women's Professional Baseball League says the first 4 teams in the league will play in San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York, and Boston. The teams haven't been named yet, but they held tryouts this summer, and they'll host a virtual draft next month. Potential players include Kelsey Whitmore, who played with the Oakland Ballers, and Monet Davis. Remember her? She became a Little League sensation back in 2014. The league's first season is scheduled for next spring. Today, the city of Oakland is making history by officially renaming part of 57th Street to Bobby Seale Way. The dedication ceremony is being held on Bobby Seale's birthday. It honors the legacy of the co-founder of the Black Panther Party. The tribute will acknowledge Bobby Seale's key role in establishing the Black Panther Party in Oakland back in 1966 and was a major force in the fight for social justice and civil rights.
Well, with SNAP payments at risk, Governor Newsom is sending the National Guard to food banks. How this unprecedented effort will work. And your next home insurance bill could include a new wildfire fee. Why Californians are being asked to help pay for LA County's massive fire damage, and why consumer advocates are calling the move an industry bailout.
From KTVU Fox 2 News, this is Mornings on 2.
All right, welcome to Mornings on 2 at 8 o'clock. Look live across the Oakland skyline this morning. Overcast skies. The weather is about to change. We'll find out by how much in a second. But first, thanks for joining us. I'm Andre Sr.
I'm Garcia Michaelian. It is Wednesday, October 22nd. This time yesterday, we mentioned to Steve Paulson. Things will probably look different behind us. Well, Steve Paulson, here we are. Gray.
That happened fast, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we had sunshine yesterday behind you guys. Now it's cloudy, and it's mostly cloudy today. Now, any rain today should be confined mainly south, but it's possible East Bay later today. I doubt north at all, but it'll be cooler for all, and cloudy to mostly cloudy. 50s on the temps, few sun breaks in there, but most of the activity's been south, especially down towards Hollister. Let me come up here and show you towards Gilroy, Hollister, back over to Watsonville, right there, boom, boom, boom. So that's where some of that's lifting north, also maybe towards Santa Cruz Mountains as well. That's associated with a low that's moving into central California. But boy, that line, look at that line. I mean, it extends way back to the valley and south, and a lot of that moisture continues to lift north. So East Bay would be later today. That's a heck of a line, though, and that, boy, is that lit up along that line. There's can be some downpours associated with that. Most of it's staying south, though. Due west, Travis, to 32. Usually don't see due west. Usually see west-southwest. That is a rip-roaring delta wind right there, and the moisture is streaming across the Pacific. It'll be here for the weekend for a lot of cloud-covered cool temps and off and on rain. Cool it now, though. Bigger fog bank, onshore breeze or wind. Mostly cloudy, much cooler today. Showers, thunderstorms, mainly favoring areas south and east. 60s to near 70. All right, Allie's here, 8:01. What now?
Well, it's kind of take your pick. You could go to any spot in our Bay Area commute this morning and find some problems, although it's improving. Not as many crashes as we saw maybe about an hour ago. But we do have some slow traffic on southbound 680 all the way through Pleasanton because of that crash at the Sunil grade. 880 southbound has been a very difficult commute all morning long as well. Here's a live look at 280 in San Jose. In that northbound direction, traffic lightening up just a little bit now that some of those crashes along this stretch have been cleared. San Mateo Bridge, still a lot of taillights there, a lot of brake lights, people having a tough time getting over to the peninsula. And the Bay Bridge Toll Plaza really looks unchanged just in the last half hour or so. It's an easy drive, though, if you're in that carpool lane. 8:02, let's go back to the desk.
Allie, thank you. New this morning, Governor Newsom is rolling out a plan to keep millions of Californians from going hungry.
Yeah, this announcement includes deploying National Guard members across the state to support food banks while the federal government shutdown lingers on. KTVU's Tori Gaines, she is live in San Jose with the effort to help some 5.5 million Californians. Tori?
Good morning to you, Andre. This is a huge undertaking from Governor Gavin Newsom and what he is calling a humanitarian mission. Now, this is the fourth week we are entering into of that government shutdown, and local leaders are very concerned about those families who rely on SNAP benefits to put food on the table each month.
We actually have a food insecurity crisis here in Silicon Valley. Our food insecurity rates are higher than the national average, and that is due to the incredibly high cost of living here. At Second Harvest of Silicon Valley, we are the hub of charitable food assistance. We are fortunate to be partnered with more than 400 nonprofit partners, and we are now providing food to 500,000 people every month. That is 1 in 6 of our neighbors here.
Governor Newsom is also fast-tracking $80 million of state funds ahead of the shutdown delays. Now, the California National Guard will be deployed across the state, and the governor's office made clear those Guard members will not be acting as law enforcement. Instead, they will support efforts at local food banks. His office saying, I'm expediting state funds for food banks and directing the California National Guard and California volunteers to help distribute this food to families. As we approach the Thanksgiving holiday, California is working to ensure CalFresh recipients don't go hungry while food prices are spiking under President Trump. Now, CalFresh, the SNAP program in California, is 100% federally funded, and if those payments are missed, more than 5 million Californians will be impacted, and across the nation, more than 42 million people will be impacted. Now, food banks like Second Harvest of Silicon Valley here are looking for volunteers and donations to help get the community through this tough time. Coming up later this morning, we're going to be talking to one of the leaders, the leadership team here at Second Harvest, so stick with us right here on Mornings on 2. We're live in San Jose. Tori Gaines, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Thank you, Tori. New this morning, San Francisco State Senator Scott Wiener has announced he's running for Congress. The senator released a campaign video and website this morning for the seat representing San Francisco. He previously said he wouldn't run until Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi retired. In the announcement, Wiener said he would stand up to the Trump administration. He also touted his experience at the state capitol.
San Francisco Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi says she will not announce her plans for re-election for a few more weeks. The former Speaker of the House told the San Francisco Examiner that she's waiting until after the special election for Proposition 50 to reveal her plans for 2026. She said the redistricting plan is more important to her right now since it will help Democrats with their efforts to retake the House. Congresswoman Pelosi has represented San Francisco in Congress since 1987. The Congresswoman is now facing 2 challengers. In addition to State Senator Scott Wiener, there is Shoykat Chakrabarty, the former chief of staff for Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, also recently launched his own campaign. Meanwhile, Politico reports if Congresswoman Pelosi decides not to run again, she actually may support San Francisco Supervisor Connie Chan.
With just under 2 weeks until Election Day, about 13% of the ballots sent to California voters for the Prop 50 special election have been returned. This according to the firm Political Data Inc., which says California's received about 3 million ballots so far. There are some 20 million more still out there. Of those ballots, about 51% are from registered Democrats. The rest split between Republicans and independents. The firm also says more than half of the ballots have come from people aged 65 and up. Voters have 2 weeks to decide if the state should temporarily replace its current congressional district map, which was drawn by the state's independent commission in favor of a new one drawn by Democrats. That's the core issue of Prop 50. It's part of a larger national fight in which Republicans and Democrats are trying to gerrymander their congressional districts to determine which party controls the U.S. House of Representatives. California homeowners could be stuck reimbursing insurance companies for the Los Angeles County wildfires. Insurers such as State Farm say they lost at least $1 billion covering a portion of the disaster claims filed under the California FAIR Plan. The state insurance commissioner approved the plan by insurance companies to pass on some of those costs to consumers. The average cost to each homeowner is expected to be about $58, paid out over 2 years starting in December. Consumer watchdog groups are suing the state, saying the fee amounts to an illegal bailout for the insurance industry.
Well, millions of Americans are already seeing their health insurance costs soar for next year, and Congress is still deadlocked over extending COVID-era subsidies for premiums. Democrats refuse to vote unless Congress extends subsidies, while Republicans want separate negotiations after reopening the government. The federal health care website is expected to post plan offerings early next week ahead of open enrollment in November. Nationwide premiums are expected to rise by nearly 18%. Later this morning, we talked to an expert about what this means for your insurance costs.
A dramatic reduction in violence in two San Francisco neighborhoods is driving a push for new youth safety funding in the Tenderloin. Data from Bayview Hunters Point show targeted youth violence prevention programs have been successful in cutting violent crime arrests by up to 50%. According to a report in Mission Local, the success has led to an urgent call to implement a similar model in the Tenderloin. Supervisor Bilal Mahmoud says the program has proven to be successful and could help the Tenderloin, which has the city's highest concentration of children.
Well, hundreds of people gathered in Fremont to mark Diwali, the most important festival in Indian culture.
It brings together everybody, happiness. It reminds us that, okay, it's worth living when you are serving others.
Well, the Festival of Lights lasts 5 days. It is tied to the lunar calendar and is observed by more than 1 billion people worldwide, including Hindus, Sikhs, and Buddhists. Celebrations in Fremont began around 3 yesterday afternoon and lasted long into the night. Hundreds of people gathered to pray, socialize, exchange gifts, and share a meal together.
Everybody sits on the ground, basically meaning that we're all the same. No one's better than nobody else. No one's lower than anybody else. We all sit on the same floor, sit together, and we have a good meal.
Well, earlier this month, Governor Newsom signed a bill adding Diwali to California's official state holiday list starting next year. That makes California the third state in the U.S. to do so after Pennsylvania and Connecticut.
Time now is 8:09, and we're keeping an eye on some of the traffic troubles on the Bay Area morning commute. And one of those is northbound 880 at Dakota Road. This is a crash that came in a short time ago, probably about 20 minutes ago, and they're still having a hard time trying to clear this. So a couple lanes blocked off, and throughout this part of the South Bay, east to South Bay commute, Union City, Fremont has had some traffic troubles so far this morning. Here's a live look at Highway 4, Bay Point. You can see westbound direction, people heading towards Concord, and southbound 680. It's not as crowded as it was earlier this morning, lightening up just a little bit. Same story for the Richmond-San Rafael Bridge Toll Plaza. Time now is 8:10. Let's go back to the desk.
Allie, thank you. Voters who dropped their ballot in the mail at the last minute may want to reconsider the new post office rules that could affect a critical part of the voting process.
NASA eyeing a new partner for the journey to the moon as SpaceX faces delays, while experts warn the change could actually slow progress.
Jacoby & Myers has been a proud part of the California community since 1972. We've stood by our neighbors, helping hundreds of thousands of families get the justice they deserve. Whether it's fighting insurance companies or fighting for you in court, we'll stand up for you. At Jacoby & Myers, we know the stakes: your family, your health, your future. For over 50 years, we've been California's trusted name in legal care. If you've been injured, call us today at 1-800-5-MILLION, because you deserve justice.
Some of the stories we're following here at 8:13. A man pardoned for his role in the January 6th attack at the Capitol is back in jail, accused of threatening House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. New York State Police arrested Christopher Moynihan over the weekend. Documents show he sent a text message saying he couldn't allow Jeffries to live and would kill him. Moynihan was one of the nearly 1,600 people President Trump pardoned for their actions on January 6th in their effort to overturn his 2020 election loss. Moynihan is now due in court on new charges tomorrow.
San Francisco Superior Court clerks say a strike is imminent as contract negotiations continue. They rallied outside the Hall of Justice yesterday. They say they're understaffed, which is causing unnecessary delays and potential administrative errors. If talks continue to stall, that strike could happen later this month.
A restaurant owner in San Francisco is back on the job after he was attacked inside his restaurant. The confrontation was recorded by a security camera inside the Middle Eastern restaurant Shawarma Azmi. The owner, Azmi Marait, says he asked a woman and her friend to leave after seeing them use drugs inside the restaurant. Things escalated. They moved to the kitchen, where Marait says the woman grabbed a knife and stabbed him repeatedly. He grabbed what he could to fight back.
What were you feeling and thinking in that moment?
I only think about my family.
San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie visited the restaurant owner and pledged the city's support. The suspected attacker was arrested by police, is now facing criminal charges.
At 8:15 now, Governor Newsom and Attorney General Rob Bonta say they'll take legal action if National Guard troops are sent in to San Francisco. President Trump has threatened several times in recent weeks to send troops to the city, and he pointed to anonymous government officials he says he claims wants the federal troops in the city. The governor and the attorney general say if that happens, they're ready to file a lawsuit. Now, Attorney General Bonta said in part, quote, San Francisco may be the president's latest target, but California is no stranger to the president's political games and unconstitutional tactics. We're ready to go to court immediately if the president follows through on this latest illegal plan.
A warning now to all voters who wait until the last minute to return their ballots by mail. Due to recent U.S. postal changes, mail-in ballots from communities located more than 50 miles from one of our state's 6 regional mail processing centers may not be postmarked if they're dropped off at a post office on Election Day. Northern California has 2 processing centers, one in Richmond, the other in West Sacramento. California's Secretary of State is advising voters to return their ballots early by mail, put them in a drop box, or take them to a voting center to ensure that each ballot is counted.
Have just brought to light that currently, because they'll be taken from here all the way to Sacramento to be postmarked, that could possibly delay their postmark until the next day.
Bay Area residents living in Napa County and southern Santa Clara counties are most likely to be among those affected by the new rules, as well as people living in rural areas such as Lake County.
All right, it's almost 8:17 now. The Warriors started off the season strong with a big win over their cross-state rival, Los Angeles Lakers.
The final score, 119-109.
Curry, the look away and big shot.
Stephen Curry scored 23 points, including a big three-pointer near the end of the game to seal the victory. Jimmy Butler led the way with 31 points. Draymond Green filled the stat sheet, 8 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists.
It's good to get off to a good start. We kind of fighting upstream most of last year. You don't want to do that this year, so it's important to get off to a good start.
The Lakers did not have LeBron James, who was out with sciatica. The Warriors take on the Denver Nuggets 7 o'clock tomorrow night in the home opener at Chase Center. The Warriors hosted a watch party at Thrive City to tip off the season, streaming the game live on the big screen outside Chase Center. Guests enjoyed live music, outdoor games, and giveaways, in addition to food and drinks.
8:17 is the time, and we're going to go through all of our traffic cameras. You'll notice a change on this live picture of 880 in that northbound direction. If you can pull that picture up. There we go. You can see slow traffic in the northbound direction right near the Oakland Coliseum. No specific problems here, but it looks like maybe some of the backup at the MacArthur Maze is extending to this stretch of 880. Highway 24 in Lafayette, just got very slow. All of a sudden, you can see slow traffic, very crowded, heading towards the Caldecott Tunnel. It does lighten up a little bit as you get closer to the tunnel. It looks like there is some sort of law enforcement response here. You can see some flashing lights right there. We'll continue to keep an eye on it. And it is still a long drive to get from the Carquinez Bridge to MacArthur Maze, just about an hour, maybe 10 minutes less than an hour, because of some earlier slowdowns and problems. Bay Bridge Toll Plaza still very backed up. You can look and see it's about a 20 to 25 minute delay to get onto the span. 8:18, here's Steve Paulson talking about those gray clouds and a lot of thunderstorm activity. Are we going to see any of that here?
Oh, we already are. It's down the Santa Clara Valley, Allie. I mean, the Santa Cruz Mountains getting close. Gilroy, Hollister for sure. I think it's lifting northward. And I think Morgan Hill's in the mix here. South San Jose later. You can see it showing up here coming in 3, 2, 1. There it is. Watch around Hollister, now lifting north, Gilroy, and then not far from Morgan Hill, starting to really juice up, heading back towards Santa Clara Valley, San Jose, and Santa Cruz Mountains. I think that will be the focus, maybe east later today. That's a heck of a line that goes all the way back to Bakersfield. Look at that, associated with the low. Now, that's all the activity, but see, look, watch what's happening here in the last few images coming in from the valley. Some of this will make it into eastern Santa Clara County, Contra Costa County later today, is my 2 cents worth. Cooler, though, for all. Santa Rosa, Walnut Creek, San Carlos, San Jose, all down on the arrows. Upper 60s to 70s, big fog bank, a lot of cloud cover in place. Just a screaming Flowmaster charged wind out there at Travis. West of 32. Don't see a west too often. West, southwest, but not a due west. For Cordelia's had gusts to 33. 50s, 60s on the temps. They're stuck. They're not going anywhere. 30s, 40s up in the mountains. Maybe thunderstorm activity later. Right now, it just looks like some warm overrunning rain there as that moisture lifts northward. But wouldn't be surprised if that fires up later today. That line is one big active line, and it's continuing to move north. And with any sun breaks, that could easily put some in the mix here for some not only showers, but thunder showers. Probably more thunder showers because the lower layers of the atmosphere are pretty dry, but still, it's there. Then we'll get a break Thursday, Friday. Here comes the moisture across the Pacific all the way back to Japan, and even farther than that. That moisture will play into the Pacific Northwest with some heavy-duty rain, but I do think we'll get our fair share as well. Now, farther north, better opportunity. Santa Rosa North, no doubt about it. Some of the mother lode locations are really getting painted with 2 to 3 inches of rain north of I-80, and also as well north-south, probably not so much. So probably be a fine line here, but I'll deal with it as we get to Friday. Cool it now, big fog bank, onshore wind, mostly cloudy, cooler today. Showers, thunder showers, south and maybe east later today. 60s to near 70 on the temps. A little bit of a break Thursday, Friday, then here's a lot of rain to the north and cloud cover. Cool temperature for your weekend.
Thank you, Steve. All right, who among us hasn't spent a lot more time than intended watching YouTube? The new feature that's meant to be a check on your viewing and why it's really more of a suggestion than a cutoff.
Our time now is 8:24. YouTube is adding a feature to help you stop doom scrolling.
Also, Beyond Meat is moving beyond Wall Street expectations. Pam Cook back in studio with what's going on here in dollars and cents.
Super interesting. A bit of a debate going on Wall Street this morning. Is this the beginning of a successful turnaround for Beyond Meat, or is it just the latest meme stock? Either way, when the opening bell rang this morning, shares in the Los Angeles plant-based company jumped more than 90%. Now, it's still less than $7 a share trading. It has been in danger of being delisted from the NASDAQ. Beyond Meat has been criticized for being high in fat. However, the company did change the formula to include more vegetables and less fat, now boasting just 2 grams of fat from heart-healthy avocado oil. This morning, analysts say it may be the beginning of a successful turnaround, but it could also be the latest meme stock where social media helps falsely inflate the company's value. In any case, we'll be watching Beyond Meat, the California company. Market indexes down across the board. The Dow Jones, you can see a live look, down about 1/3%. The S&P 500 down close to 0.5%. The NASDAQ slipping almost a full percentage point, where tech stocks pulling back a little bit today. Tesla has issued a recall. It is recalling nearly 13,000 of its new Model 3 and Ys in the U.S. due to a battery pack component defect. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, the issue in certain 2025 Model 3s and 2026 Model Ys could cause a sudden loss of drive power, which could increase the risk of a crash. Unlike most Tesla recalls, this cannot be fixed by a simple software update. Impacted drivers will have to go to a Tesla service center for a free replacement part. Uber and Nebius are investing $375 million in autonomous driving technology developer AV Ride. The new funding will be used to accelerate the growth of AV Ride's fleet, expand its AI-driven product development, and move into new markets. Company officials say they plan to launch AV Ride robo-taxi service on the Uber platform in Dallas by the end of the year. YouTube is now adding a timer on their Shorts platform to help stop viewers from spending too much time scrolling. Users can set a daily time limit for Shorts through the app settings. Once they reach their time limit, a pop-up will notify you that your Shorts feed is paused. Now, you can still watch it if you want. The pop-up is dismissible, but this is to help people improve their time management, reduce their time online, and hopefully improve people's mental health. The feature is expected to be part of parental controls by next year. I'm Pam Cook. That's a look at your dollars and cents.
Pam, thank you. Open enrollment just got pricier. We'll talk with an expert about why both workers and employers will feel the squeeze.
What's seen as a sign of growing voter frustration revealed in a new poll, why some Americans are losing faith in both major parties. Strong words and threats of legal action. How city and state leaders are ramping up their response to the Trump administration's plan to send National Guard troops to San Francisco. Then.
It's federal money, and the state does not have the capacity to fill that.
The ongoing government shutdown putting California food banks in a difficult position. What they're preparing for and why they say hunger knows no boundaries.
From KTVU Fox 2 News, this is Mornings on 2.
Good morning and welcome back. I'm Gassia Mikhaelian.
I'm Andre Sr. Today's Wednesday, October 22nd. We see some sun out here in Oakland, but changes are happening across the state right now and in parts of the Bay Area as well. Steve Paulson in the Weather Center with more on that.
Yeah, big changes from what we had yesterday, that's for sure. There are a few sun breaks in there, but we're under mostly cloudy skies. Cooler's the message here. If you're south, thunderstorms are the message. I'll show you in a second. Upper 50s, 60s. Everyone's really close, but look at all this moisture coming in, especially now Morgan Hill. We talked about this, Santa Cruz Mountains, Santa Clara Valley, and it's happening. Moisture could easily clip areas in the East Bay later today. More likely it's going to be a South Bay event, but Hollister to Gilroy now heading back over towards Santa Cruz, Watsonville, down to Salinas. Monterey's been lit up this morning, but that looks to be the focus from this system, and there it is. It's moving into central California, but the northern edge of that, this is the moisture you got to watch for later today, I think, coming in for those of you East Bay right there coming back in later. So we'll keep an eye on that. North, I don't think it's a problem. West wind at 32 at Travis. That is a rock and roll onshore breeze, no doubt about it. And then a lot of moisture is coming across the Pacific, which will play into our late Friday and the weekend weather. But today, cool it now. Temps coming down. More of an onshore breeze. Mix of low clouds, high mid-level clouds, and showers to the south, which translates in the 60s to near 70. All right, Allie's here, 8:31. Any better? Still worse? What?
It's a little better in some spots, but we're going to start this time around with the South Bay. There is a new crash there on northbound 280 just south of 87. And some of the earlier crashes that have now been cleared are still having to deal with some lingering backups because of that. Taking a look, though, at this live picture, this stretch of 280 at downtown, not near that crash site, that is moving along much better than it was. Highway 24 in Lafayette also moving along a little better than before. It was pretty much at a standstill when we checked this picture about 15 minutes ago. San Mateo Bridge traffic has really been unchanged since the beginning of the morning commute. People chugging along over to Marin County, or excuse me, San Mateo County, and the Bay Bridge Toll Plaza, it looks slightly better than just about a half hour ago, but still a delay to get onto the span. 8:32, let's go back to the desk.
Allie, thank you. As President Trump continues to threaten to send the National Guard to San Francisco, state and city leaders are using the strongest words yet to fight back.
KTVU's Amanda Quintana is in the city for us live this morning with much more on this story. Amanda?
Yeah, well, city leaders have condemned the threats to send in the National Guard. And now Governor Gavin Newsom is saying if the National Guard is sent here to San Francisco, he will be suing the Trump administration immediately. In a press release sent out yesterday, Governor Newsom says Trump is, quote, misleading the public with his false narrative that America, and especially California, is some lawless wasteland. But California is proving him wrong in the courts and on the facts. San Francisco City Attorney David Chu already said he's prepared to take President Trump to court if the National Guard is sent here. On Monday, Chu joined a coalition of leaders in other cities and counties calling on the Supreme Court to block the Trump administration from using the military for domestic law enforcement. Local leaders argue there's no basis to send in troops to San Francisco. There's no emergency or unrest, and crime is down. Mayor Daniel Lurie appeared before the San Francisco Board of Supervisors last night. He was asked how he's preparing to protect residents.
We've been convening a cross-departmental policy group of public safety leaders, representatives from the city attorney's office, and other affected department heads to continue coordinating our local response to potential federal actions. This policy group is meeting regularly to ensure our operational strategic plans remain current and effective, and we just ended one about an hour ago.
Mayor Lurie says his top priority is keeping the city and its residents safe. San Francisco police have had a long-standing policy prohibiting officers from working with federal authorities to carry out immigration enforcement. Lurie also says his office is in regular communication with community and immigrant rights groups to make sure they have appropriate resources. Yesterday, the Secretary of Homeland Security spoke of plans to come to San Francisco.
We continue to have targeted operations in many, many cities, but also very focused on those where challenges are still remaining, such as Portland, Chicago. We're in Memphis as well. We're going into San Francisco at the direction of the president as well. We're going to continue to make sure we're focused not just in those cities that we hear about on the news, but also cities like Sarasota, that we make sure that law enforcement officers in every single community get the chance to continue to get these criminals off of their streets.
Since the deployment of the National Guard to LA in June, the Trump administration has also sent hundreds of guardsmen to Washington, D.C., Portland, and Chicago. Now, in Oregon, the city of Portland and the state sued the Trump administration, and a lower court blocked the deployment of the National Guard. They said that there was not a legitimate basis to send the troops there to Portland. Still, though, the next day, Trump sent in those National Guard troops. Now, on Monday, an appeals court ended up siding with the president in that case. So something to think about as we look at what has happened in Oregon first. Live in San Francisco, Amanda Quintana, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
New this morning, San Francisco State Senator Scott Wiener has announced he is running for Congress.
San Francisco has always been on the right side of history, standing up for democracy and civil rights, even when it's hard. I'm Scott Wiener. I'm running for Congress to defend San Francisco, our values.
Wiener released a campaign video and website this morning for the seat representing San Francisco. The Democrat had previously said he wouldn't run until Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi retired. In his campaign announcement, Wiener focused on standing up to the Trump administration, as well as his experience at the state capitol. He's 55 years old, has been San Francisco state senator since 2016, and before that was a member of the Board of Supervisors. We should note that Pelosi has not yet said whether she is running again next year. Though this morning we are asking, who would you vote for to represent San Francisco in Congress? Three options: Nancy Pelosi, Scott Wiener, or Shaikat Chakrabarti. You can weigh in by heading to ktvu.com/vote.
Well, 8:37 your time. Health insurance premiums are set to jump again next year, rising twice as fast as inflation. Open enrollment begins November 1st in California, and analysts say the surge could hit both workers and employers hard. To help break down what's driving the rising costs and what consumers can expect next year, we're joined by Glenn Milneck, professor of health economics and finance at the University of Southern California. Glenn, thank you for joining us this morning.
Happy to be here.
All right. So, Glenn, as we said just a moment ago, open enrollment starts November 1st here in California. How much can the average person expect to pay for coverage through an employer-provided coverage plan?
The news is not good. The news is not good at all for consumers. Premiums have been growing over time, but relatively slowly. Now they're forecast to begin to surge. And I'm worried that not only this year, but they're going to continue to go at double the rate of overall inflation, if not higher.
I mean, this is incredible here. We're talking about 6 to 7% here is what the average family could pay. Paycheck deductions of $8,900 a year for coverage for families here. The jump in health insurance costs are partly due to increased demand for costly treatments such as GLP-1 drugs used for weight loss. But what are some other reasons for this massive increase here for employees across the country here in California?
So two things. One is the main driver in California across the country is rising prices charged by healthcare providers, especially hospitals. All right, so if you look at the data, hospital prices have surged in the last 24 months for commercially insured patients. So for example, our data in California looked at since the end of COVID, prices for commercially insured patients went up about $7,000 or $8,000 for each stay in the hospital, whereas Medicare paid only $700 more over that same period.
So what's the hospital's reasoning for raising these costs and in return affecting health insurance companies and, of course, affecting employees?
Right, no, you're exactly right. So, well, one of the reasons is during COVID, there was a surge in input price costs. So wages went up, other things went up. And so part of it is catch up. But my concern as a health economist now is the market has become so concentrated in many parts of California that providers really can raise their prices to a degree where consumers and health plans have no choice but to include them in their plans and pay these higher prices.
Okay, so then, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, so one thing that's really disturbing, though, is that most people don't understand, is they think that their employer is paying the entire, most of their health insurance bill. And that's not exactly correct from an economic perspective. Your employer pays up front, but then next year says, all right, can I give this worker a raise? So the average wage in California is $26 an hour. If health and premiums are going up $1,000 or $2,000, that's money that the employer will not give the workers a raise. So our big concern is that millions of workers in California, because of rising health insurance costs, will never see a raise again.
That is the fallout from all of this, because we also have people paying more for groceries, and now you are sticking them with a higher insurance bill, and they have to pay these premiums because they need to cover themselves. Nearly 168 million people across the country are covered by their workplace here, and they would be affected by this increase. Is there any way for employees to stave off these rising costs with open enrollment around the corner?
Yeah, employees are fairly helpless here because it's a market-driven phenomenon. California has passed a law and implemented an agency to try to slow, and it's the Office of Healthcare Affordability, to try to slow healthcare spending growth. As you might imagine, the hospitals and other groups are fighting against that. But if consumers want to do something, they should write letters in support of slowing the growth of healthcare spending, so that their budgets, household budgets, are not deteriorating every year.
It's also should be noted Americans pay double what residents in other developed nations pay for health care, even though outcomes in the U.S. are worse than those in other countries. Glenn, I wish we had more time to talk.
Yeah.
We'll try to check in with you again. Glenn Milneck, professor of health and economics and finance at the University of Southern California. Thank you for joining me this morning.
My pleasure.
Starting next month, 5.5 million Californians could lose their food assistance payments. The state social services department is telling counties that funding could stop in November. That's raising concern among both recipients and food banks, which are now bracing for a surge.
Really nice, fresh produce. Oh, look at these strawberries. And it's a hard time.
We're going to see it in all populations, from college students to the working poor, to seniors, to the homeless, to the variety of people we help is all walks of life.
Some counties and food banks are already planning extra food distributions in the coming weeks to handle the growing demand.
A new Gallup poll shows growing voter frustration over the political status quo. The poll says both the Republican and Democratic parties have historically low favorability ratings. The Gallup poll shows Americans are almost split on which party would do a better job of keeping the country prosperous. And voters are more skeptical than ever of both sides. The GOP's historical advantage on national security is down significantly, while Democrats are viewed as ineffective and unorganized.
He was trying to escape the whole time. He was screaming, help, 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 they're going to kill me.
A U.S. Marshal and a man once honored as a community pillar wounded after an ICE agent opened fire, while federal agents are defending their actions. 8:46 is your time. Here's some of the stories we're following for you this morning. Governor Newsom says he'll speed up $80 million in funding for food assistance programs. The governor will also bring in the California National Guard to support distribution at food banks. The governor says he's trying to supplement the loss of federal food stamp programs. The U.S. Agriculture Department says it will not fund SNAP food assistance programs beginning in November due to the ongoing government shutdown.
The state of Arizona is suing House Speaker Mike Johnson over his refusal to seat a newly elected member of Congress. Adelita Grijalva won a special election late last month, but Johnson says he won't swear her in until the government shutdown ends and the House returns to regular session. Arizona's Attorney General says that's unconstitutional and that a duly elected member cannot be denied office just because Congress isn't meeting. One man was arrested after driving his car into a security barricade outside the White House late last night. The Secret Service says agents took the man into custody immediately after the crash. The agency says they searched his car and didn't find any weapons or bombs inside. Police have not revealed the person's identity or a motive. Here at home, Santa Clara County supervisors are moving forward with a plan to declare all county buildings and property off limits for immigration enforcement. The unanimous vote paves the way for a formal no ICE ordinance. Immigrants make up more than 40% of Santa Clara County's population. Supervisors say they're modeling their efforts after what's happening in Chicago. San Jose is expected to begin the same process today.
Cannot wait until federal agents show up in our neighborhoods to finally decide that we should have protected our community spaces.
County and city leaders say if the ordinance passes, ICE could still enforce federal law without regard to local regulations. They are hoping to set the stage for future legal challenges.
A house in San Francisco's Noe Valley neighborhood recently sold for $900,000 over asking price. The bid surprised even the seller. The home is a 98-year-old two-bedroom, one-bathroom with about 1,200 square feet. It ended up selling for a little more than $2 million, which is 70% over asking. Real estate agents say it's an unusual sale because not too long ago, interest rates were high enough that sellers had to give up a lot to find a buyer.
Think it was going to go this far, but we generally try to go 10 to 20% below what we expected to go for. But there's a huge garage with tons of room to grow. It's also just on one of the best locations in Noe Valley.
Interest rates have dropped by as much as 1% or more compared to last month. Experts also say the market in San Francisco is starting to speed up, with homes spending less time on the market as interest rates drop.
OpenAI is cracking down on deep fakes made using its new text-to-video app. Last week, the company started blocking users from being able to create AI-generated videos of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. using Sora 2 after his family spoke out against what it called disrespectful depictions of the slain civil rights leader. The company is now working with SAG-AFTRA to strengthen protections around historic figures and actors who are no longer living. Many parents in particular say they're concerned about the new AI videos.
Children, their prefrontal cortex, the brain that's responsible for critical thinking and evaluating evidence, does not fully mature until they're about 25. So unleashing these new deep fakes and the ability to create them is asking children to have a skill that they don't have, the ability to, differentiate what is real and what is not.
Dr. King's daughter, Bernice King, led the push to remove the videos. The daughter of the late comedian Robin Williams is calling for a similar ban and asking his fans to stop sending her AI videos of her late father.
8:50 is the time, and on our roadways at this hour, just before 9 o'clock, there's still some lingering traffic backups in a number of spots, as you can see from the maps. Also, a couple new crashes, northbound 880 just south of Oak Street, and then also eastbound 580 at Gulf Links Road. Let's go through some of the live pictures here of our Bay Area roadways. You can see 880 in Oakland, a little slow in that northbound direction. Also have the East Shore Freeway, that's a 45-minute drive from the Carquinez Bridge to MacArthur Maze, coming down just a few minutes, shorter drive time compared to what it was an hour ago. Bay Bridge Toll Plaza recovering as well. And Golden Gate Bridge, you can see traffic moving smoothly, but there are some storm clouds over the horizon behind the Marin Headlands and Mount Tamalpais, and the wind is blowing out there too. You can see from the flagpole. Steve Paulson is keeping track of our weather forecast. Steve?
And that's a what wind, Allie? What kind of wind is that?
An offshore.
Onshore.
Onshore. I used to have it down, and then I just.
It's okay. It's okay. It's you were spot on with everything else. There are a lot of clouds out there, and it's cooler today. That is an onshore breeze. Yesterday and the day before, we had a slight offshore. That turned yesterday for the city and Oakland. They cooled down, whereas other areas stayed in the 80s. Santa Rosa, Walnut Creek, and San Jose. San Carlos was 77. Not today. Not today. 68, 70, 68, and 70 on those forecast highs. A lot of cloud cover, few breaks, 50, 60. Some buildups out there, some colder cloud tops, especially east and south, and that's where the activity has been. Look at this coming in off the valley, out there by Turlock, and then heading now back over towards Morgan Hill. I think to Tracy, Altamont Pass, Livermore certainly in the mix. Later today. Most of the activity, though, has been south, more towards Santa Clara Valley, down towards Hollister, Gilroy, and then also now heading into Santa Cruz. Look at that. See, Watsonville, there's the line. So we're close here on some of this activity. We mentioned that yesterday, and it's right on track with today. Later today, though, I think areas eastern Contra Costa County could get in on that. Maybe Solano County later as all that moisture lifts north. An absolutely incredible onshore wind here from Petaluma to Napa to Fairfield west at 32. Usually you see a little west-southwest, not a due west. Don't see that all that often. After we get past today, then Thursday and Friday look okay, but look at all this moisture streaming across the Pacific. It will play into our weekend weather, and it will give us a lot of cloud cover and I think rain. Most of it will be Marin County, San Pablo Bay north, but we'll deal with it on Friday. Today, much cooler under mostly cloudy skies, few showers, thunder showers, mainly south and east, 60s, 70s on those temps.
Thank you much. Thank you much, Steve. It is 8:53 now. A growing number of adults are learning they have been living with undiagnosed ADHD their entire lives. When you join us on the 9, we'll talk with an expert about why it's being missed and how a new approach is helping people get their symptoms under control. Well, a blind woman in San Francisco is part of a trailblazing team of cricket players. She's one of 16 blind women from all over the country sent to represent Team USA in the first Cricket World Cup for the blind. She was born visually impaired and eventually lost all sight by the time she was a teenager, but it didn't stop her from trying something new. And next month, she'll be joined by 15 other visually impaired women from all over the country to represent the U.S. in the Blind Women's Cricket World Cup in India.
It's just exciting to know that, like, we're going to be a part of this thing that's just starting to grow even at a worldwide level.
Well, it's the first time the Cricket Association for the Blind has held a Women's World Cup, and the first time a newly formed Team USA is participating. The game is adapted using balls that make noise and can be heard as they fly across the pitch. Team USA leaving for India next week. The tournament takes place through the month of November.
Women's professional baseball is coming to the Bay Area. The Women's Professional Baseball League says the first 4 teams will play in San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York, and Boston. The teams, which haven't been named yet, held tryouts this summer, will host a virtual draft next month. Potential players include Kelsey Whitmore, who played with the Oakland Ballers, and Monet Davis, who became a Little League sensation in 2014. The league's inaugural season is set for next spring.
Today, the city of Oakland is making history by officially renaming part of its 57th Street to Bobby Seale Way. Dedication ceremony being held on Bobby Seale's birthday and honors the life of the co-founder of the Black Panther Party. The tribute acknowledges Seale's key role in establishing the Black Panther Party in Oakland in 1966 and was a major force in the fight for social justice and civil rights.
The California Chamber of Commerce wants to put a proposal on the ballot to change requirements to build housing here in California. The core of the proposal is a major overhaul of the state's Environmental Quality Act. The chamber argues the law is being abused to delay new housing and critical infrastructure. It says the changes would help tackle the state's high cost of living. The initiative would also introduce mandatory deadlines for state and local agencies to complete environmental reviews for essential projects involving housing, water, and energy.
All right, 8:57 is your time. Uber is offering incentives for drivers to go green. The San Francisco-based rideshare company will offer $4,000 grants to drivers who switch from gas-powered cars to electric vehicles. Now, it's only available to drivers in high-demand markets like California, New York, Colorado, and Massachusetts. It also rebranding its Uber Green category of rides to Uber Electric. There are more than 200,000 EVs in Uber's network worldwide. OpenAI has launched its own web browser. Atlas features an Ask ChatGPT sidebar that answers questions about any web page. It rolled out yesterday, but only on Apple laptops. It's expected to come to Microsoft Windows and smartphones at a later date. The move puts OpenAI in direct competition with Google as more internet users rely on artificial intelligence to answer their questions.
A new robo-taxi is picking up passengers in San Francisco. Zoox has been in test phase since November. The company is owned by Amazon, tells the San Francisco Standard. It's now beginning to pick up some passengers in a limited area of the city. The box-shaped cars are rolling through the South of Market neighborhood and the Mission. Right now, only friends and relatives of Zoox employees can take a ride. Taking a quick break, we'll be right back as Mornings on 2 to 9 starts under cloudy skies on this Wednesday. We'll be right back in just 60 seconds.
A political power shift brewing in San Francisco. San Francisco State Senator Scott Wiener officially enters the race for U.S. Congress, setting his sights on the seat held for decades by Nancy Pelosi.
Then Governor Newsom calling in the National Guard, but not for security or disaster response. Why he's sending them to food banks across California, as critical payments could be cut off.
Plus, Vice President J.D. Vance in Israel meeting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, while the VP says progress on the next phase of the ceasefire is, quote, better than expected.
Live from Chat London Square, this is Mornings on 2, the 9.
Good morning to you. It's Wednesday, October 22nd. You're looking live across San Francisco, and you can see the sun, shining through the clouds a little bit, but this is what we may be in for today. In fact, parts of California already seeing some rain, and it's moving all over the place. It's going to be with us later this week. We're going to check in with Steve in just a few minutes to see what the forecast is going to be like for your region. Well, travel can put even the strongest relationships to the test, and some couples say they have found the secret to keeping the peace. It's called an airport divorce. It's a new trend where partners intentionally go their separate ways after the TSA line, then reunite at the gate or on board. A columnist at the Times says he and his fiancée tried it, and it worked. They spent time apart, exchanged a few dirty looks across the terminal, but ultimately had a much smoother trip. Welcome to the 9.
No. No. I'm trying to figure out what is the conflict that arises between the TSA line and the gate.
Right.
That's a good question.
Intentionally have to go
And
their
what do you
separate
do when you have kids?
Oh.
Can you conveniently divorce?
You divide and
Do you go with the kid? You go with the kid. Oh, you have to. Oh, you can't just give one of them.
It's all over. No, I'm joking. So my husband and my son will usually go and find food immediately after getting through.
Oh, so you do something like
then you and your daughter intentionally, and then me and my daughter will look in the little gift shops for the tchotchkes and the cute little Sanrio pillows.
Well, kudos to you for not dragging your son and your husband.
Yeah, we don't even try.
Into the gift shop. Yeah, that makes them much happier, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And then you can reconvene with whatever you got.
Absolutely.
And then share that when you get on board.
There you go.
Sure.
All right, let's go and start our newscast here by focusing on what's happening in our state. Governor Newsom is rolling out a plan to keep millions of Californians from going hungry. This morning's announcement includes deploying National Guard troops across California to support food banks. This as the federal government shutdown lingers. KTVU's Tori Gaines live in San Jose to share an effort to help some 5.5 million Californians. Tori.
Good morning to you, Garcia. Now, this is a huge undertaking from Governor Gavin Newsom and what he is calling a humanitarian mission. Now, this all coming as we're entering into the 4th week of that government shutdown. We're outside of Second Harvest of Silicon Valley this morning. Now, this is one of the food banks that could potentially see National Guardsmen here to help out in the coming weeks and months. But what they're saying they need most right now is donations.
At this moment, it's not like we have a shortage of volunteers. We have a group coming starting at 9 o'clock here who will be volunteering with us. We have a lot of corporate groups and other groups coming in regularly to volunteer. What we really need is donations. And if anybody watching this is in a position to help, please visit our website, and anything you are able to provide helps us like stretch the dollars and meet the growing need in our community.
Now, additional donations will help Second Harvest provide food at over 900 locations from Daly City to Gilroy. And Governor Newsom is also fast-tracking $80 million of state funds ahead of the shutdown delays. The California National Guard will be deployed across the state, and the governor's office made clear those Guards members will not be acting as law enforcement. Instead, they will support efforts at local food banks. His office saying, I'm expediting state funds for food banks and directing the California National Guard and California volunteers to help distribute this food to families. As we approach the Thanksgiving holiday, California is working to ensure CalFresh recipients don't go hungry while food prices are spiking under President Trump. Now, CalFresh is the SNAP program here in California. It's 100% federally funded, and if those November 1st payments are missed, more than 5 million Californians will be impacted, as well as more than 42 million people nationwide. Now, just a little bit ago, we got an inside look at the operations here at Second Harvest. We'll be bringing you all those details in our show at noon. We're live this morning in San Jose. Tori Gaines, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Thank you, Tori. Vice President J.D. Vance continues his trip in the Middle East, meeting with several Israeli officials today. As Fox's Trey Yangst reports, it's part of a push by the Trump administration to make sure a ceasefire there stays in effect.
On his second day in Israel, Vice President J.D. Vance met with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to keep President Trump's peace plan intact and advance phase 2 of the agreement, though he acknowledged there are challenges ahead.
We have a very, very tough task ahead of us, which is to disarm Hamas but rebuild Gaza to make
life better for the people in Gaza, but also to ensure that Hamas is no longer a threat to our friends in Israel.
Since the ceasefire went into effect, both Israel and Hamas have accused one another of violating the agreement. And over the weekend, 2 Israeli soldiers were killed, leading to additional airstrikes. There are also questions about the second stage of the deal, including the possible deployment of an international security force in Gaza, who will ultimately be responsible for security control of the territory.
Disarming these terrorist organizations takes time, and that's the purpose, I think, of the Vice President's trip, to remind everyone that America is still engaged and still involved.
President, thank you.
Vance says Turkey and Indonesia are among several countries being considered as potential contributors to that force. Netanyahu signaled he'd be opposed to Turkish troops in the Gaza Strip and says Israel will continue to decide on its security.
A strong Israel serves America's interest in stabilizing this very unstable region. And you can't stabilize it without a strong Israel.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio is expected to be in Israel on Thursday for further talks on the ceasefire. In Tel Aviv, Trey Yingst, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
New this morning, San Francisco State Senator Scott Wiener announcing his running for Congress. Senator Wiener released a campaign video and website this morning for the seat representing San Francisco. The Democrat had previously said he would not run until Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi retired. Now, in his campaign announcement, Wiener focused on standing up to the Trump administration, as well as his experience at the state capitol.
San Francisco Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi says she won't announce her plans for re-election for a few more weeks. Former Speaker of the House told the San Francisco Examiner she's waiting until after the special election for Prop 50 to share her plans.